Welcome to the channel. If you're wondering if you're in the right place, if you like ARPGs, MMORPGs, any game with RPG in its genre title, even like tangentially, like Pokemon is up for debate, this is a channel that you will enjoy. This channel covers all of those games, all major releases, anything that catches my eye basically. And then also I like to do some skits sometimes in case there's like nothing newsworthy to cover, or if I'm not ready to release a guide for a specific like class or a fight or something like that. So if you like guides, tips and tricks, if you like just high level gameplay, if you like anything funny, like covering some news events, covering some other stuff here and there, miscellaneous stuff, this is a channel for you. Now the bulk of the channel is going to be guides, tips and tricks, gameplay related stuff, so if you want to check the notification bell off to be able to watch all those, I would recommend it. Anything that's unrelated to that main portion of the channel, I will be publishing without notifying subscribers, so you won't ever be bombarded by my daily uploads, even if it's irrelevant to you. And then you can come back at another time if you want, like, let's see if he's funny at all. He's probably not. He's a fucking nerd. And then you can see if the non-game related stuff is relevant to you, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, maybe. I'll mostly be covering ARPGs and MMORPGs because they have a sort of a live service nature to them, which is really good for content farming, to be honest. Now, MMORPGs, there aren't any new major releases that are coming out, but I've been in love with MMORPGs ever since I played ARPG. To be honest, I think ARPG is the best MMORPG ever made, and I'm super sad I never got to experience it without bots in the game. Now let's talk about ARPGs. This channel started off as a Diablo 4 channel. I've been playing Diablo 2 since I was like 5 years old. I don't know why my parents let me play that when I was so young. I'm scarred. But anyways, I only played like 40 hours of Diablo 3 because it's not what I wanted, and it still isn't what I want. And the design philosophies behind Diablo 3 have never been in line with what I believe is what needs to be in line in order to make a good ARPG. Some of those philosophies are in place in Diablo 4, but initially I thought Diablo 4 was going to be a deep enough and large enough game that it would require a lot of explaining and deep dives. But it turns out it's just not that deep. It's really not that deep. So I was thinking, if I want to continue on the path of content creation, it would be like nearly impossible to just use Diablo 4 as the basis for content creation. And so I was like, oh hey, you know what? Let me cover all ARPGs, all RPGs, anything I end up playing, because it's all super fun to me. So I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll just do the thing, but with every game with RPG in the genre. So the games I'll be covering mainly on this channel, are Diablo 4, Last Epoch, and Path of Exile 2, because I played Path of Exile 2 at PAX West. What Diablo 2 was for the ARPG genre in 2000 and 2001, I believe is what Last Epoch and Path of Exile 2 are for the genre in 2024. So if you have plans to be playing Diablo 4, Last Epoch, or Path of Exile 2 consistently over a long duration of time, this channel's for you. All the content on it will be relevant. Any content that you'll be notified about will be about those three games in particular. Maybe in the future when more MMORPGs come out, but if you're an MMO fan, like how unlikely good MMORPGs coming out truly is. Maybe I'll add those to these like notified subscribers list. So let me tell you a story. On a ArcAge Fresh Start server a few years back, I was voted in as the Aranor hero. Like, I was the top hero. Basically, for those of you who haven't played it, there's an election basically, and I was president. I became president. So I led a lot of like faction PvP events, things like that. The most memorable moment for me in ArcAge, which got me obsessed with MMOs, to be honest, it's a bit of a doozy. So I had a friend, he shall remain unnamed, but it starts with an M. So there's a PvP event, right? And you and your faction try to beat the other faction in this PvP event. It's a weird King of the Hill kind of PvP event, and there's a very specific strategy to winning and locking in a win. And on our faction, my friend, who had a ton of bots, he was multi-boxing, he had dozens of accounts, he was sabotaging so that his bots could get more participation points because you have to participate a minimum amount in order to get the rewards from winning or from losing, because you get some rewards from losing still. So for him, it was more beneficial for us to lose, but all of his alts to get a lot of participation. He was sabotaging us, and so I told the entire faction that was participating at the time, I was like, all right, boys, flag up. We are killing his bots. This is the only way we're going to win, is if we kill the bots. When you attack your own faction in ARPG, a bloodstain shows up on the ground and people can report you. We won that PvP event. We killed like 100 of his bots. He only had like 12. He kept respawning and kept trying to sabotage us. So we were fighting the other faction and we were killing his bots at the same time. It was like pure pandemonium. And I killed a lot of his bots. I was like an AoE tank, so I had like a lot of participation in killing his bots. And so he reported all of my bloodstains very specifically. He didn't really care about anyone else's. And in ArcH, when you have a certain amount of criminal points built up from being reported from like bloodstains or other like crimes that you've done, and then when you next die after you meet a certain threshold, you go to court and then you're judged by your peers. And I went to court. I died one day and I was like, oh shit, well, I want to reset it preemptively so it's not in the, so I can raid or do something in the open world, like open world PvP, without like being interrupted in the middle of it and being sent to jail, maybe. So I get myself killed and then I'm like, okay, time for court. I'm basically the president. I'm like, yo, everyone loves me. Like, I get them so many points, it's whatever. It's basically like a get out of jail free card. And then I look at the jury and then I recognize some names. Not exactly, but I recognize them. Like, oh, those are familiar. They're my friends' alts. There's a certain queue in the jury system and you have to have 0 criminal points in order to be in that queue. And apparently he did report basically everybody who was participating in the in the massacre of his alts, because no one had 0 criminal points, unlike the entire faction that was playing at the time. And so he was judge, jury, and executioner because his bots technically did nothing wrong by the system's standards, right? So he sentences me to 48 hours in prison. And I'm like, oh, what the hell? So you can break out of prison, but you keep your criminal points. You have to stay in prison in ArcH, otherwise your criminal points won't reset. So you have to do the time and perform yourself. I was outsmarted. I was outplayed. It was like it was like if my opponent was like Light Yagami from Death Note or some shit like that. That is the moment that I was thinking, oh, MMORPGs are perfection, because the content that you can get from them, how fun they are, is based off of the people that you're playing with and the people around you and the people you're playing against. That's why I love MMORPGs, is because of that one story in particular. I mean, there's a bunch of other reasons why, but that one sticks out to me the most. I'll be thinking about that when I'm on my deathbed. I'll be like, that motherfucker.